VeChain has been making some progress recently. In this video, we're going to dive down into the charts for VeChain, take a look at what has been going on short term, but also take a look at that longer term outlook for VeChain. So as we get into this, if you do find it useful and informative, hit the like button. Really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then do go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗏𝒀𝒀. With all that said, done, and out of the way, let's jump on down into the charts, take a look at what's going on with VeChain and what might be actually on the horizon for 2022. Okay guys, so here we're going to really just focus in on this weekly chart, right? Just as a top overview, to really help us understand where that long-term kind of value really comes in. Now, for the most part, we can see that March 2020 was pretty much the start of the bull run for many altcoins, and basically, this kind of topped out with VeChain reaching all-time highs back in August of 2020. We then saw this pull back towards the latter part of the year, around November time. We saw the real lows of wave 2. This actually would have been a B-wave correction back then. And we're going to see this nice steady kind of grind to the upside in the new year, really pushing up to the highs of wave 3. This is basically confirmation. This wave 3 here was a confirmation that this is what was not an ABC correction, but instead what we were looking for at here was actually this impulsive move to the upside. Okay, it soon became clear that this was a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wave move on a weekly time scale. This was a big play. Okay, so getting that kind of confirmation when we saw the pullback of 81%, pretty much from the highs of April down to those lows that we actually saw in May, that was actually pretty much in line with the area that we'd expect for a fourth wave correction. A little bit steeper, admittedly, but again led by Bitcoin at the time, but again very much in line with the Elliott wave theory of the fourth wave not crossing the height of wave 1, right? So in theory we could have been a little bit worse than 81%. But it held up incredibly well, and what it actually presented us with was an opportunity to get back into VeChain at a discounted rate ahead of the fifth wave, right? And when we actually break this weekly chart down, what we actually end up with is taking a look at that wave 2 low, the wave 3 high, and the wave 4 low. When we take into consideration the trends on all of those, as in the trend down for wave 2, the trend up for wave 3, and the trend down for wave 4, that allows us to use a trend-based Fibonacci retracement and extension tool, which is actually called a trend-based Fib extension, which is showing us a 4.236 extension at $1.20. So we obviously have an understanding that based on the current performance of the bull run so far, the most probable area that we're going to be looking to kind of go up towards is kind of that area there of a 4.236. Now that is a really optimistic model, okay? And that there is basically, kind of where we see the absolute true maximum based on what's happened so far. Now, if something fundamentally changes, something shifts in the space, we might see it move a little bit more, we might see it move up higher, but at the same time, those fundamental shifts, if they are negative, you can also see it go down lower. Okay, it's not an exact science by any stretch of the imagination, and we should obviously be aware that this is just taking a look at what is the most probable outcome. Doesn't mean it's going to happen by any stretch of the imagination, but based on the trends of the bull run, that's kind of what the fib areas are indicating to us. Now, of course, we can look at other areas. We could look at the 1.618, the 200% move. We could look at a 2.618 or a 3.618. These are all very key areas to really be paying attention to. Okay, so for that fifth wave, it's interesting, right? There's some interesting heights to it. Now, obviously, as you can see, we've also posted up here some interesting 1 through 5 moves. Now, for those who've been watching some of the recent VeChain videos, you'll know exactly what this is all about. This is about an Elliott wave triangle, okay? So for those who do not know, these impulsive moves of 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, that is Elliott theory. And pretty much we follow Elliott theory on this channel. That might be ABC corrections, which also falls under Elliott theory. And obviously those corrective moves basically mean it's short term. So i.e. an ABC down, ABC up, they're all short term moves. Whereas your impulsive moves like these 1 through 5s, they're slightly longer term players. They obviously take up a little bit longer to kind of see come in. And obviously there's volatility within wave 2 and wave 4. Okay, so it's important that we understand that. So obviously seeing a potential another impulsive move coming to the back end of this move of an Elliott wave triangle, which is on our daily chart, right? So the other thing before we get into that daily chart to really talk about here with VeChain is that stochastic RSI. As you can see, we're right down here in this oversold area. Last time we were down in this oversold area, we're at the bottom of this wave 4 area here. And right now you can acknowledge that we're starting to print some green candles. And the likelihood is that we're going to be pushing this stochastic RSI to the upside. As we do that, we're probably going to be going after this wave 1, where we'll then start to see a bit of a pullback as we come into the second wave. And then we'll have this blast off to the upside where we see wave 3, then pull back for wave 4, then up for wave 5 again. This is kind of where I see kind of quarter 1, quarter 2 of 2022. Okay, and before we get the true peak, and then obviously bear market thereafter. And that's kind of how I see it. Now, obviously, on that journey, we should acknowledge that every time that we've been in this oversold area, such as the low areas of wave 2, the low areas of wave 4, and where we are right now, every time afterwards, we've actually seen a very significant push to the upside. Okay, and so wave 3 was obviously a very significant one. With wave 4, the timing on it was actually rather unfortunate, because we saw September come in. September being the month of pullbacks, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. Loads of people in the space are expecting the pullback to happen, and therefore they actually force it to happen by selling their bags, basically creating a down market. Every September you'll find this kind of scenario. It cropped up last year, it cropped up this year, and I imagine it will crop up next year, right? Self-fulfilling prophecy and all that. But obviously after that, we actually started to see some traction. Then obviously Bitcoin pulled us back down into these lower areas. And what you can see here is, you know, an interesting kind of move. We have this A, B, C to the upside here, and now we're obviously tracking down. Now, obviously inside here, you actually have a much smaller A, B, C move as we bottomed this out, and now we're looking for the reversal. And the reversal is very much apparent based on the stochastic RSI and where it actually got up to. Okay, so corrected very, very nicely to the downside here. We are looking to push up. Again, not expecting huge pushes, but, you know, significant levels, and we'll get into that in a moment, and then pull back and so forth, right? So the weekly chart's very, very good, right? Selling at the bottom, I see this all the time, right? People saying, oh, they're selling their altcoins, or they're selling whatever project it may be. And all I'm looking at the stochastic RSI and the weekly chart, and I'm just saying that's you're selling at the bottom right now, right? Because there's a huge amounts of growth to come, right? But no, each to their own. Sometimes their strategies might be to exit a project. Maybe they bought in down here, and, you know, actually now's the good time for them to exit. That's perfectly fine. But we don't want to be selling the bottom necessarily unless there's really good reason to do so. Some fundamental reasons, for example, let's say the project's deviated away. Maybe there's some technical problems with that project that's not quite sticking out. Maybe, you know, it's not quite what you thought. Maybe the team's changed. Whatever the fundamental reason is, you might want to reassess your positions, etc. Maybe you want to take profits out of one project, put them into another project, whatever it is, right? But right now is not necessarily a good time to be selling, considering that low area, that stochastic RSI. There's gains to be made before potential pullback, right? And again, everything bounces. So obviously right here, we can see this pullback right here, all these red candles. Well, that's a lot of red candles on the weekly. We're going to be expecting a bounce to the upside. And then maybe up here is actually a better place to sell VeChain than down here, right below 10 cent. You actually might want to ride this up to maybe 15 cent or so. And there's going to be a bounce regardless, whether or not you believe that we're going to be going up to all-time highs or not. Right now it's actually a bottom point, and it will be bouncing up before pulling back down lower if a lower low is to come. Okay, so either way you look at it, yeah, you're kind of selling at the bottom if you're selling now, right? So let's actually jump into our daily view, and this is where we actually take a look at that Elliott wave triangle, something that is playing out quite nicely for us at the moment. So obviously here we have a big macro picture on our daily, right? We have the wave A from the high areas, the all-time high of 28 cent, pulling down into that lower area, right? We have the wave A. Okay, this actually kind of comes in technically actually, you know, down over here, but I've put it over here for neatness of the triangle sake. But basically down here we have that low point that was basically July for wave A. Moving up into wave B, we have that up in November, pulling back. In December we have the wave C lows. Now we're obviously the next direction, right? We're looking to push up towards that wave D. Like I said, right, we could be pushing up towards 16 or so cent before we pull back, and I think that's the most likely outcome. We are going to be pulling back. Lots of bear traps are going to be set around here as we see this market reverse, and as we come in for the E wave, right? So we're going to push up nicely, kind of have that target set out there around around 16 cent, but it could fall shorter. And the main thing that we're actually looking for here is 2 touch points on each of these lines, the descending and the ascending. You know, we could be up in this area. I think we're going to be reasonably high. I reckon at least 15 cent around that kind of area is a good reversal point, where we start to see this wave E. Once wave E comes in, this is where you then start to see that impulsive move out of here. Again, it will start off as an ABC, but potentially has that ability to really push on massively to the upside as we break out of this triangle. This is something that we've seen multiple times over. Harmony One is printing these triangles all over the place, and it's obviously, you can see Harmony One, absolutely running at the moment. On the hourly chart, we're printing this triangle over and over and over again, and it's actually leading to these impulsive breaks to the upside every single time. And VeChain here, this isn't an hourly chart, this is a daily chart, so the break from here is going to be absolutely massive. It will dwarf that of what you've seen on any hourly chart. So looking pretty good in terms of this formation so far. We are looking to ride this up into wave D, down into wave E, so potentially ride this up, sell the top, bring that down, buy the bottom and ride up, or just hodl your way through and you'll look forward to that explosion towards the end, or maybe even just wait to get in until you see the bottom of wave E, getting the confirmation of the completion of the triangle, and then continuing that motion to the upside. Lots of different ways to trade this, entirely up to you guys. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, but this is a really good pattern that I think is worth kind of noting. Okay, we can also acknowledge that we are overbought on our daily stochastic RSI. Not overly too problematic. We have been up here for quite some time before, specifically within wave B. We will be looking for a correction here, like we had with wave B. We'll bring that stochastic RSI from overbought to oversold and then back up again in this daily chart, just to allow that wave D completed, and to get that completed, then pull down again into the wave E lows, where we will actually then see that explosion. That's what we're looking for here within this triangle. Now, what we'll do is we'll jump down into our hourly view. And here you can see that we actually had an impulsive break already. Just tracking to the upside over here, we can see that we had this nice motion of an ABC, which actually turned the C wave impulsive, pull back for wave 4, and then pretty much I think it's just fell short. Yeah, just short of that 1.618 area there. Then we actually see ourselves with a double top formation, bearish signal, bringing in the ABC down. So I'll just quickly make this a little bit bigger so we can see the most recent kind of trading action here on VeChain. So I'll make that a little bit bigger. So what you actually see here is this double top. I'll quickly just mark that up with a horizontal ray. You just grab that and we'll just put that there. So there you can see the double top here, bearish signal. And this actually then leads us into this C correction move here, then followed up with an ABC up. Again, these are all really small micro movements, guys. They're really insignificant at this point, but it's good to get your wave counts here so you can see the ABC moves. Again, you have an ABC coming down, and there's a lot of these. You could spend a lifetime kind of just monitoring all of these ABC moves if you wanted to, but to be honest with you, it's all about the bigger picture. What you're actually looking at here is a continuation. Okay, you can count the ABC up, you can count an ABC down, again, and then you actually find on the slightly longer term is a good support level actually forming just inside here. Okay, and you'll notice as well that on this hourly chart we left a bit of a gap behind, so anything kind of lower than this area, which we are really not closing behind it too much, so that's an interesting level. I'll just quickly mark that right there. 9.1 cent. You can see that we're not really kind of closing below it all too much. We're wicking down below it, but we're not really staying below it. There's a couple of candles here, but recently actually the trading action's been moving relatively well. So we can obviously see here we had this A, B, and C move. Again, a double top just at the top here. We can see that. You can see these things, they repeat themselves over and over again. They're not overly important, but you can see that there's a double top there leading to an ABC down, and now we're tracking an ABC up, right? So I'll quickly just mark that up here. You can see the A, the B, and the C down, and then we have this move just here, big A wave, pull back for the B, and now we're in that C wave. And if we actually measure the distance on the C wave here, we can go ahead and get our expectations set just south of, it might actually come back into that double top high, that resistance level at 9.5. Again, breaking above that, going above 9.6, turning that impulsive would be a pretty good start, and to allow that to continue. But considering the stochastic position, it's possible, but I think it's probably more probable that we're actually going to come up against resistance and see another ABC to the downside within this continuation pattern, right? Because we zoom out, there's a lot of kind of noise going on just across here, but the main thing you want to really focus in on is that basically we're trading sideways. Okay, and this sideways trade is a continuation, meaning that we had an upward trend before we went into the continuation, we'll trade sideways, and then after trading sideways, we get the continuation up. Okay, so ultimately that's the kind of direction that we're looking for so far. And again, it's in line with our expectations of our daily chart, and it's in line with our expectations of our weekly chart. For the most part, the VeChain is looking very, very tidy across pretty much all the levels, different time frame wise, and you know, we should be enjoying some interesting kind of price recovery into wave D, and then you know, complete annihilation during wave E, prepare ourselves for that crash, and then once wave E comes in on that daily chart, then we're looking very impulsive to the upside, where we'll then be actually moving up into new all-time highs and into the targets that we've been talking about for a very long time on this channel. Okay, like I said, we never just pluck numbers out of the air. Everything is based on technical analysis, whether you choose to believe in it or not. We also couple that TA with the fundamentals, which is where Chris really comes in, understanding whether the business model, the actual understanding of the technology itself and the value is there or not there. Couple that with good solid TA with Elliott theory, etc., when we should actually end up in a position to actually execute on our exit strategies on these projects. Like I say, almost all the time, specifically in Discord and to the members and Patreon, etc., is that basically always make sure that you have a strategy around the project before you even invested into it. Make sure you understand and set yourself realistic targets to go along with it. There are many people who do not believe in VeChain, for example, and many other projects. Maybe they come up with, you know, silly kind of price targets like, you know, crashing down to 1 cent. Maybe it's only going to go up to 5 cents. But of course, we've already seen it smash through those targets because of Elliott theory. And of course, the very standard kind of moves that you would see in the space. When A happens, B will follow, and then that will be followed with C. Very straightforward with an ABC correction, and again, they're very predictable with their retracement zones in line with the Fibonacci retracement tool. The two things go together very, very well, and everything is resonating incredibly well from an Elliott theory and a Fibonacci retracement perspective. Okay, so from a charting and technical analysis point of view, VeChain is looking very, very good right now in both the sense of using good support resistance lines, trend lines. Obviously, don't tend to use them too much, but trend lines along with Elliott theory and Fibonacci retracements, and that actually show us a pretty good picture of where things are going here with VeChain. So guys, hopefully you have found this video useful and informative. If you have, hit the like button. I really do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, do subscribe, tap the bell, select all notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. With that said, done and out of the way, I hope everyone has a fantastic day, and I'll catch you all in the next one.